Hey Donnie, how's it going? I'm here in Taipei at Winebay with Yuchen Lin, the co-founder or founder of Winebay. Well, actually, she can get into it and explain what it's all about. Hi Yuchen, how's it going?
Hi, Robert.
Could you tell us what Winebay is and what it does?
Winebay is a wine store actually located in Taipei City. Then Winebay itself, it's a retail store, also an importer. So we import 80% of our own wine. Then we also do local exchange for the local distributors for their wines for a variety of issues. And Winebay is a retail store slash a restaurant and a private dining area.
And how did you get into this business in the first place?
How should I put this way? When we start to own Winebay starting 2 years ago, literally I was only the co-investor of the store. That we do have other shareholders in the shop as well, but at that time we didn't know exactly what we wanted to do for this business, if this is the one we want to do for future. So few of my current founder right now that we actually invest in just to see, to get the taste of the water to see if we want to do this business or not. That's how we started it. Then after a year running the store ourselves, we figured this is the business we want to get into it. That's why we bought out all their shares. Currently right now Winebay owned by 3 people, myself, Harris, and Katie.
Okay, and how successful would you say Winebay is at this point in time?
When we started running the business, that according to the previous owner, that they said they weren't earning any money because they are bringing more wines as a stock and just to store it up. So that's why they claim they was not profitable business at all. Then people at that time was not really educated on drinking wine and how to drink wine or to enjoy wine. So when we took over that, we have reduced the inventory to get rid of the old stocks, just to make sure that we add on more variety of wine into the store, so give people more selections and to choose the wine they want. Then when we start running a year after that, we actually reduce half of the inventory that we used to have. Then we bring in new inventory just to add on variety. Then we also add in new elements of wines from different parts of the world.
Okay, and maybe I should backtrack a little because honestly, to do all this, you had to educate yourself in terms of wine as well. And now I know you have a background in hospitality and whatnot, so I guess you learned a bit of it through that. But so how did you get to know about wine and all that in the first place?
It all begins in high school, actually. Back in our old good old days in high school, we started drinking wine at the age of 15. At that time, it wasn't, actually, don't take me wrong, we're not alcoholic. But literally, it was the environment that put you through to enjoy the wine when you were in a young age. And at that time, we didn't know what was the value or how to begin drinking of wine. So at that time, it was more like a blind tasting for us. That when I got into college, I was more focused on my wine pattern, that I was more focused on hospitality business program. So we do have few wine drinking classes. And that time, that's how I differentiate what's good wine, what's bad wine. Then what was the process and how was it made from.
Okay, and full disclaimer, I guess since the cat's out of the bag, I went to high school with Yuchen, and so that's how we know each other. And so we have known each other for a long time now. So when you did start this place up, so you basically took over something you had already been managing.
Yes.
And so how did you, I guess you already had a clientele, customers coming in. Did you change anything or did you just keep trying to build on that?
When we took over this shop, we already have existing client list, as what you mentioned. It was all repeated customer. Basically, they live around the neighborhood, so they come here regularly just to buy a bottle or two. So when we took over, we tried to maintain the same client list we used to have, but also we tried to get our new customers that we go on banks, we go on to, let's say, seminars just to try to attract new customers, to tell them that what we can do, what we can offer. So we offer banquet service, that we do catering. So at that time, we introduced the wine along with the food together. That's how our new strategies when we took over.
Okay, and out of these strategies, which do you think worked best probably?
Best probably it's actually to be more selective on your client. Wine business, it's not something that you think just to sell or just to drink. It's literally that how you want to play out in this market. There are many local distributors in Taiwan to sell wines, and they are not importers. But for our role, we are very clear at the beginning that we are importers. We bring our own wine. We don't want to bring the same wine that other people have. We try to bring in new wine, different wine, something affordable, something that you can drink daily, something not so fancy that you cannot reach. That was our new strategy. So when we took over Winebay, that we tried to stay focused on we are imported, we are not just distributor or retail shop.
Right. I mean, along those lines, actually, I should highlight, we have this here in the foreground. This is something different. What is this exactly? This is...
It's actually a very interesting story. This is actually owned by our common friends in high school, that their family in Australia owns this winery. Then it's a sparkling Shiraz in produced in Australia locally. As many people know, sparkling Shiraz is very commonly sold in Australia, but in Taiwan was never introduced it. People often think sparkling is something juicy, fruity, something, no alcohol content. But on contrary, this one actually has a 13% alcohol level. It's made of 100% Shiraz, locally produced in Australia.
Okay.
So it's not something girls drink, it's a real drink.
Yeah, that's not what we're drinking right now, but yeah. And in terms of the stuff you tried then, would you say, were there any mistakes or any wrong turns that
Definitely.
you took?
At the beginning when we took over, just what I mentioned earlier, we tried to maintain our current client base, but at that time, we didn't know what they want, so we will try to fulfill their needs by only offering the wine they used to purchase it. But at the end of the day, that our old client was telling us that if you have so many variety of wines in your stores already, why not introduce us the new one rather instead of selling the old one to us?
Right.
And that was the first time I realized now the old clients likes the same wine they always purchase because they have no choice and they don't know what to pick from the selections. So gradually, when they suggested that we should have more interactive action with them, that was the time that I tried to educate my workers that everybody walks in is someone new. So you always try to tell them that what we have new in stock and what's new and what's special about our store, rather than tell them, oh, you like the red wine, let me introduce you the usual red wine you get. That way, people feel like every time they go into shop, it's some new experience that I ever experienced it before.
Okay. Were there any disasters or just things that were very wrong, embarrassing things? I'm trying to embarrass you.
Very nice word.
Yeah.
Well, actually, when we started doing the cater, that was the part that was embarrassing. Our staff wasn't well trained. So when the first private event that we hosted in Winebay, our staff wasn't well trained to serve the customers. So when the glass is running out of wine, our staff didn't know what they were supposed to do. And when they opened 2 to 3 bottles and our worker mistakenly poured wrong wine into the wrong glasses. So all my client at that time were just telling me that, your wine tastes really funny. It's a bit sweet, but also very tarty. I don't know if that's the one we picked. And at that time, I was very confused too. I was like, how difficult can it be? It's just a glass of red wine.
Yeah.
So I actually tasted and I realized the biggest mistake we made is we didn't train our staff too well. So when they pour wine, they don't know which wine into which glass. So that's why we have a mix of 3 flavors in one same glass.
Wow.
Very interesting.
So what about now? Because you do distribution, but you also hold events and sell wine just to as retail also.
Yes.
How is it divided? Is it 1/3 each, or do you have a main concentration?
Actually, as I mentioned, because we're importers, so 80% of business is still coming from our VIP customers. The walk-in and also the retail store only help us to have people to find where we are located. But our clients are very private. They don't want to bring wines to the shop or to the restaurants that people have or own. So usually whenever they have a function or a dinner hosting somewhere else, they will always call us in. Then we will deliver personally the wine that they like. Then we will also spend 10 to 15 minutes trying to explain to them how to drink the wine, what was the story about this wine. So my client usually enjoy me in the company than drinking wine because I can tell them a story about the wine I'm buying.
Right. And so is this so where do you see the company going? Do you want to continue doing this, or do you want to?
Current store that 80% of our sales come from VIP sales. So another 20 come from cater, also private event. For our next project that we want to do, we actually want to expand more towards the restaurant side. The reason we say that is because my partner Katie and I actually found that in the future, we might not able to enjoy so many gourmet food unless we watch out what we drink and what we eat nowadays. So especially some of our older relatives have diabetes and all other issues. So we figure, to bring in healthy food and also to accompany wine is more important in the future than current. So our next project that we want to do, we are interviewing different chefs and also to find out the right chef to open the next shop that will be more focused on the restaurant side.
Okay. And so do you see yourself, because obviously you like staying here and doing what you do. Do you see yourself keep doing that, or do you think you'll concentrate more on going out and doing
When we started there, I had to be here most of the time because we tried to obtain the old list and also to bring new wines and also to build a new customer relationship. But for the next year project and the year after that, not only we want to expand the restaurant side, we also want to expand more of the retail side, just for people to understand that wine is not something not affordable, something easy, something too easy to obtain. So if we can open a few more outlets that has the same concept, that it will be more like neighborhood wine cellar near your house, then people can easily go and grab something easy, something nice to drink, then something that you will enjoy by the evening.
Okay, so I mean, you're pretty much there. So you pretty much have your
Yes.
dream job. Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, so along those lines, and if someone else would love to do that with their life, what advice would you give them?
To be more careful, more considerate. Opening a wine shop is not something that you open, a breakfast shop or to bring new clothes or, to go shop around in the corner. Wine shop takes a lot of effort because you have to know your product, what you're bringing. You have to know the content you're bringing. Also, you have to know how much capital and cash flow you have in hand. Because it's not something that you just want to open a shop and just, leave it there and do nothing about it. Because the wine will not move itself. It needs to be educated. Also, you need to understand the story behind it. So each wine that we brought it into our shop, that we know the owner, we know the winemaker, we know the label, what it's from, and the content of it. It was not something that we just brought it in just because, I like the bottle or I like the taste. It wasn't just that simple. You really have to understand what you want to get out of this business, because opening a wine shop, as long as you have enough cash, that sounds easy, but how you maintain it in the future, it's the hard working part.
Okay, so I mean, but they'll also need a certain amount of like capital or investors or something like that. So what do you think are the biggest obstacles? Like if someone's coming up and they decide they would love to have a wine bar, is that the hardest part, or is it?
If you want to open a wine bar, there are two ways to do it. It's either you buy through local distributors to buy, selections of wines, or you can become importer like us.
Right.
And that's the obstacle that I will be facing when we open it, is because we don't have the wine source. So it actually took us a while to find the right negotiation in France and to help us to gather the wine we want. Not only focus on few regions that we are interested, but also expanding our horizon to go through different regions of wines in France. So there are just so many regions you can choose from to bring your own wine. You can go to Italy, where you're from, or you can go to France, you can go to Germany. But again, who you buy it from, it's the key element to this whole business, because you have to find out the right importer, also to coordinate on the logistic part, because you are not there physically. So choosing wine is easy. You can taste it, you can drink it, but how you bring it in, that's the difficult part.
Okay, so there you have it. Keep that in mind.
Don't just go in without knowing what you're buying from.
Exactly. So now we're going to switch on a bit of a more personal note.
Okay.
When you come to work here, do you have a routine, let's say?
No, wine.
Oh, and actually, can we get more wine, garçon? We're going to get some more wine. Okay, hey Donnie, we're back.
Yes.
So on a more personal note now, I was wondering if you have a daily routine when you start either at home or when you get in here. Is there a certain routine you follow on?
The first thing I do, usually I open up my emails just to see what my negociant actually sent me as a wine list. Also any wine notes that they have tasted recently.
Right.
So usually the first thing in the morning, I check my emails. That's, when I'm in a car or on a bus, that I always try to see what's new in the market and what's the rating for whatever the wines that it's in the world that's interesting or something rare. So the first thing I do is always check emails. The second things I do when I'm in the shop, the first thing I do is to open up my computer and start punching notes and also write down what I see on the email that's interesting. Then also send out a newsletter to our customers that, what's new in the market, and also to tell them that, what we have new in the store as well. That's what we do. Then rest of it is a routine, delivering goods, train the staff, then drink wine, drink more wine, then a couple more afterwards.
Right, because when I come in the evening, you're usually at that stage, which is
happy
good
time.
stage,
That's
yeah.
the best time of the time that I'm all prepped up, drinking enough bottles.
Okay, and because right now you are obviously, you have to handle all the stuff during the day, but then you get to drink wine, and it's a pretty good job. You said it. You pretty much achieve your, the job you wanted to attain. coming along here, did you have any role models or people you looked up to, or is there anyone that you think?
Tricky question. Actually, I would say my role model would be my mother. Actually, when we all to start our own business, my mother was the most motivated person to actually motivate me to do this. As you know before, I used to work for a multi-million company. My job was very steady. I wake up in the morning, I go to work, I yell at people, then I do presentations.
Craft, right?
Yes.
Sorry, yeah.
I do presentations and I eat all the cookies and I go home.
Right.
So that was a very easy job. That my mom was always the one who always encouraged me. You have to do something different in your life rather than doing a routine job, because that will not take you to any place that where you wanted to be. Then your potential of what you want to achieve, it's always greater than where you are currently. And my mom is a very motivated person. She owns 2 jobs and she gets up every single day at 5:30 in the morning to go exercise. Home before 7, prepare breakfast for us. Then usually only fruits, nothing fancy. My mom's not a cooker, but she will get out of the house by 8:30. Then she will start her first job. Then by 3:30 she's home doing her second job. Then now she's taking singing class, painting lessons, just to occupy her nights as well. So she was up her age till now. She's the most energetic and full of agenda person every single day. She plan trips, she go to work, and she yell at us, in the meanwhile. So to me, she was a good role model. So that's why I really want to leave my current job, the old job in craft, then start something of my new. But that was a scary down to the road because I didn't know what I was getting to it. Then I was worried about not earning any money, and also not to accomplish anything. So when I quit my job to stay more focused, just establishing my own one, that was the most scary thing I have ever done in my life.
And so what did your mom tell you when you
Go for it.
Oh, yeah?
She didn't ask anything. The moment I came home, I told my mom I'm quitting my job. And the first thing she said, "Oh, so have you figured out what you want to do next?"
Yeah.
She does not care if, anything happened to me or, what was the turn to make me want to go independent. Only thing she told me that whatever you need, just let me know, and do something that you think it's not going to regret in the future. Then if it doesn't work out, the worst to worst, you can always go back to your old job, which is pretty true.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
And actually, and I can attest to the fact I know your mom, and she is extremely energetic. Yeah. The day after her son's wedding that she organized, she was up at 6 a.m. back to work,
Yes.
which boggles my mind.
That's
but yeah.
how she always runs.
Yeah.
No weekends as well.
Are there any, when you're doing your business, do you have any certain guidelines or, obviously you don't break the law or anything, but is there any mantras or, things that you follow when you're doing your business? Like, do you want to give, pleasure to people, or do you want to just have fun?
Well, it all goes back to when we started business, we tried to simplify our member of the shareholders. So when Katie, Harris, and I started it, that only 3 of us, that we tried to bond each other, that whatever we do, we discuss in this group. 3 of us, we take a simple vote, then we know what we want. Then also the guideline we follow is we want to make our life fun and also profitable. We don't want to go out of our way to do something that we cannot do it. We only bring enough stocks to the shop that make sure we can sell that we can replenish to the time that we think it's necessary. So our guideline is our boundaries are actually each other. We try to tell each other what to do and not to do. So our model is to have fun and enjoy our work. So when we do any major decisions, 3 of us will get together. We'll go on show together. We'll go on business decision together. We'll order wine together. And that's always the best part and also the fun part of our job.
Okay, yeah, and you guys can keep each other in
Yes.
check and all that. That makes sense. That's pretty much it. But before we end this, I was wondering if there's anyone else that you would like to see an interview with, or that you would like to see me or Donnie in.
Winemaker.
A winemaker?
I would love to see the winemakers interviewers, how they drive, I heard so many stories about how winemaker stories about the acre of the lands they own, how hard work, then to bring cows and stuff, just, to make sure the grape goes the way they're supposed to be. The glass of wine we drink today, it's not just something that you purchase for $1,000 NT just for a bottle, but because the hard work behind it, the people who produce it, it's everything. The personality of the wine.
So by winemaker, you mean the people who actually own the vineyard?
Yes.
And oh wow, okay.
Go find something.
That would be interesting, yeah. is
Only will be the one we can interview next.
oh yeah, actually. And and so before we end, where can people find you and find Winebay in case they want some wine?
Sure. Winebay is located in Tonghua Street. It's actually near the Tonghua Market. Then you can take the MRT station from Xi'anhe, I think exit number 3, down to Tong'an Street, second block to the corner. You will see us. It's hard to miss it. Look at all the wine rack we have in the back. You can see from miles and miles away. Then you can see a lot of drunken people in here having good time. So that's us.
Got that, Donnie? So if you're ever in town, pass by Winebay. All right, that's about it. Thank you
Cheers.
very much. Cheers. We're going to finish this wine.